Hello traders and investors, I'm L.A. Little and this is your weekly NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective each time, asking ourselves what happened last week, what does it tell us about the coming ones. I do the show every Sunday evening, broadcast there before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, is archived on YouTube and it's under the channel L.A. Little. If you'd like to get more information to your desktop, just subscribe, reach up in the right hand corner and do so. Anytime I push content, you'll get a notification. As far as what happened last week, let's take a quick look at the numbers here. Another up week, 3%, 3.5%. So the big juice came in those that have been lagging all year long. That's the NASDAQ and the Russell. Both of those now just slightly negative on the year, and you're slightly positive on the year in the S&P and the Dow. So markets just keep grinding higher, folks. They don't want to give it up. Let's take a look at the chart. And if there was a prize last week, it had to be the fact that these markets are just unwilling to back down, even on a week that they'd given us a signal that they probably would try so. If you look at this big volume bar, that was this high here. As it came back into it Friday off the employment numbers, flips it right back around, takes it back up, makes a new high. Still no stopping this market. Matter of fact, if you look at it here on the weekly time frame, remember last week we actually had a 2-bar reversal. Usually, in most cases, that ends up being a reversal. Not so. Not with this market. Pushes right on up. Going after the swing point high now, right? That's where all the major resistance that is left is at those levels. And then you've got, of course, the all-time high sitting up here just over this swing point high. Market straight up, straight down, straight up, right? We've seen it time and time again. It gets kind of old, but it keeps happening. You know, one time more, same thing. Advances on this push up have been strong. We've seen breadth much stronger than we saw on this advance back here. And so all those are good signals, and it also suggests that when we do see some sort of a roll, when this market actually does come back down, I suspect you're going to see some folks push it right back up and push it up in a hurry, because right now they're not even letting it come down before they push it. I mean, just go back and look at these numbers all the way up. You went from essentially 1800 now at 21 almost, right? 2072. So, 270 points or whatever the number is. We're not talking small percentages on a straight up move. That doesn't happen very often. Matter of fact, this is probably one of the better moves you're going to see historically if you go back and look at the numbers. On a monthly basis, the S&P still broad range. This range has been in effect now for a good, oh my goodness, 2 years now. If we go back to this swing point high, actually about right there, right? If you go back into that area, we're certainly looking at numbers in this time frame. So, we're back, it's 1 year there, another year there. It's almost 2 years. So 2 years sideways trend. Question is when will it end? And one thing I would say to you is that it will end, folks, just like it always does. It's just a question of, is this the end of the big move, right? The big, strong push to the upside, that now looks like it's probably trying to roll over. Is it really rolling over, or is this going to somehow correct itself and then we see it actually shoot higher? And that's the last question that's left here. So far, it's protected every attempt to break these lows to get a transition on the monthly time frame. As a matter of fact, it won't even give you a transition on the weekly time frame now on the way back, right? If I look at it here, fixing to turn it back higher on a swing point high. NDX, NASDAQ been weaker. They certainly hear same sort of story, right? The big push comes down, gets pushed back up on Friday. This one's going after the breakdown bars high, and we see that in the Russell and see it in the NDX. If you look overseas, it's a mess, folks. I mean, the strength in the world is in the U.S. That's where the strength is in terms of the indexes. If you look elsewhere, go to the DAX. DAX trying to break back down towards the end or the bottom here of the Draghi bar. If we look at the CACs, you've got the same story here where the CACs is already under the Draghi bar. If you look at the Nikkei, and why is all of this? Because of the currencies, folks, is what I've been talking about. Nikkei breaks 2 swing point lows on the daily, on the weekly, coming back after that big wide price spread bar to the downside. And if I look at Switzerland, it's the same thing, right? The story is the same everywhere we go. Switzerland did do a save on a swing point low with a little doji. Could push a little bit higher, but that one also looks to be in trouble. And if I go to the broader, Hong Kong market, it looks like it's trying to top again here on the daily into the swing point low, doing a bearish retest regen. Can't seem to get over it. Folks, the world does not look good. Only the U.S., and a big part of that is the currency. So let's take a quick look at the currencies here. And that currency a shift right now is all yelling, right, giving us the push back up in the dollar, back down in the dollar. So here's the dollar making new lows, right, breaks a swing point low. If we look at it here on this time frame, coming after that low of the big range, the only question now is Yellen going to keep this dollar going down all by herself, or are we simply going to get to the bottom of the range and flip back around and head back up to the top? I think this good cop, bad cop stuff is going to keep us in this range. And when you're in a range, you soon forget that it matters, right? Everybody kind of gets used to it after a while. Well, used to it is not helping overseas. And so I expect we're going to see the good cop, bad cop stuff flip around. And we're going to see this FXE that just broke out on a daily chart, on a weekly chart. We're going to see some pressure back to the downside after a little bit more of an extension. But make no bones about it. The dollar is not going to just, rally hard now. It's going to take a while, and you can see that on these currency moves elsewhere. And it's all the currencies. I mean, here, look at the Canadian dollar. Look at the push up in this one off those lows back in early January. Straight up moves across the board. If I look at the Japanese yen, same thing, pushes higher and higher. If I look at even the weak one, the British pound, right? Even that one doesn't want to hardly give it up. It's just hanging there. And that's even with them facing all the issues with the elections that are coming up. Gold took a hit, gold stocks as well, still hanging in that higher range we've talked about for some time. And, if you're looking to get into this stuff, the bottoms of these ranges, even in this range down here, if it wants to push that low, those are not bad places to be looking at it. Same thing in gold stocks. Last week, I think it was Thursday, I told you about a biotech that we were going to pick up and make a trade on, or had picked up and made a trade on. And turned out to get us a nice big push on Friday. And if you're interested in those kind of calls, you should come over to Technical Analysis today, hit the Get Started button. For $19 a month, $15 if you buy a yearly subscription, you can get those kind of calls just right along with everyone else here at the site. All the members get the calls available to them. And the biotech is one of the most beat up groups. You can see here, biotech popped. Looks like it's going to try to push a little bit higher, get that swing point high. Make no bones about it, though. This is in a downtrend. This is just one of the sectors that hasn't moved. And if you know it hasn't moved and everything else has, you can expect, unless this market wants to give it up, they're going to try to rotate to it sooner or later. And it looks like that's probably trying to happen. Folks, I'm going to leave it at that. That's the way this week looks. How's the week going to do? Looks like more grind to me. Until we get a failure somewhere on these charts, you just got to continue to stay with the trend if you're going to play at all. Otherwise, you sit on the sideline, you wait. That's it for tonight. Have a great one. I'll take care. Bye.